Hey, this is Joe Blasco back right here on MUA TV, and my guest right now, Deborah La Mia de Navarre. Sweetheart, welcome.
Pleasure.
My pleasure. Have a seat. My goodness. It has been a long time.
Yeah, it has.
Hasn't it? Huh? You look sensational, baby. You look just great.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for
part
being
of this whole new thing.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
It's exciting.
Yes, it is.
We have a lot going on.
Oh, yeah. Deborah, you've done so many things also. I have to say, Deborah was married to one of my students, another fabulously successful makeup artist.
Very good artist.
And can I say the name?
Sure. He goes under a different...
Ron Wild.
That's right.
Ron Wild. And he is currently, I believe, in Las Vegas, correct? Yeah, working. But do you remember, were you there the night that I supervised Ron in making, I was teaching him how to do the Frankenstein monster makeup?
Yes,
Were
I
you
was.
there that night? Was that something I actually sat for my class? Actually, it was Ron and you. And I had them do me up as Boris Karloff's Frankenstein monster. What a hoot that was. And I want to do it again, maybe for the Halloween special this year, you know. That would be so much fun. I love your hair, honey. I just love it.
Thanks.
Yeah, your look, you have such a great look about you, you know. You not only are you absolutely unique with your look, but you're so unique with the all the work that you've done and your ability to maneuver within the business and to just have everyone love you.
Thank you.
You know, you've done wonderful things. You've worked with Matthew
many times.
On The Ghost of Mississippi, right? On Citizen Cohen. You've won. You won how many Emmy? You won an Emmy for which show was
Citizen
that?
Cone. Yeah.
Citizen Cohen. You both shared that Emmy. It's so fantastic. Of everything that you've done, you were department head. Ladies and gentlemen, this young little girl here was department head makeup on Iron Man.
It was great.
Tell us about it.
It was great. Well, I was lucky enough, I've worked with Robert many times, and Robert and I actually go back to less than zero. So that's a good 20-something years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, when it came up and the opportunity came, I jumped on it. And Iron Man, luckily, the producers I had worked with several times.
Yes.
And it all fell into place. They wanted a specific look, and you know, with all the new, you know, the mocap happening and all the different phases of makeup that we have, it all fell in place. I've been lucky to do. I've done 6 of the Marvel comics now. I did Daredevil, Blade, first Spider-Man, you know, Elektra, and Iron Man. And it's, you know, talk about getting creative. Comic book. I mean, you know, you can go anywhere.
It doesn't get any better than that.
And I am a little bit eclectic in my visual, which kind of puts me right in that category.
Right. I see a little purple streak there in your hair.
I've tried to get much more conservative.
Yeah, they took one. Hey, it's one tiny little purple streak as a matter. And it's just like when you walk into a production meeting and you're doing these cartoon characters and all of this and that. I mean, it's got to be really exciting to know that you have like a wide latitude there. I mean, you can go in so many different directions.
It is. There's artistic freedom.
Right.
And luckily going in, the director, the producers, the actors, everyone is open to whatever suggestions that fly on the table, because we can take it unlimited.
Yes.
It's wide open, as you said, and it's really fun to be a part of that.
Yes.
And, you know, as an artist, I think ultimately we want to create. We want to create new things.
Absolutely.
We want to constantly outdo our last, little episode and create and grow. And, you know, I think I've shown that in my career. I tried, you know, I started a long time ago.
You have.
And I've been very lucky. Matthew and I have a number of films and history and stories that we go back to, and we're still working together.
Well, let's hear one of those stories.
Well,
Is there anything you can quote?
I will. Ghost of Mississippi.
All right.
Okay, this is, I won't name names, but Ghost of Mississippi. I happen to be on the lot. I've done 33 projects with James Woods at that time in my life. And
33
projects
with James Woods? I would say he likes you.
Well, it's a funny story. It's one of those Kelsey stories that she told. I'll tell two parts of the story. One, when I first met James, they were beside themselves. 3 makeup artists he got rid of.
He's a very sweet man.
He is. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
A brilliant actor. Yeah. And they said, we want you to come in for this interview. Yeah. And he said, but you have to tone it down because he's already fired 3 people.
Tone what down?
Tone my vision.
Tone down the purples.
Yeah, at the time it was like purple. It was
check these out. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my God, you've got enough silver on you here to.
There's a story about that.
To buy a house.
There's a reason and a story. And so I did. I showed up in a little pixie bob with a hat and a suit, and I went in very conservative, and I was going to get this job. And the UPM's looking at me, and he's kind of dodging back and forth. He goes, I was told that, you were, a little different than what I see. And I said, yeah, at times. I said, aren't we all? And I just kind of played it and let it go. And he goes, well, he's been known to chew up and spit out makeup artists. Do you want the job? And I said, I'm unemployed today, and I'll be unemployed tomorrow. What's the difference? My biggest challenge here. So he gave me the job. And then I looked in the mirror, and I went, oh boy, am I going to have to wear this, disguise for the rest of the show? So he calls me up that day because his son was on the film and said, oh, Deborah doesn't usually look like that. So I show up. He gets me out in the parking lot. Whatever you did yesterday, make sure you show up like that today. So I show up on the set. And I've got the hat and the little wig and the, conservative clothes and out there. And I know the whole crew. And they're like, what is the deal?
What is this, Halloween?
Yeah, sensible shoes. And sure enough.
Sensible shoes?
The word got back to...
As opposed to what's not...
Well,
Those are pretty sensible to me.
But the word got back to Mr. Woods. And he invited me to sit in the car. We were doing these running shots. It was like 100 degrees in San Pedro. And
tell people what running shots are around the world.
And this was a car scene, and the camera follows the car as it goes, and there's your running shot.
So he's not going to be seen up close and personal.
No. But we wanted to make sure it was really hot. It was 100, over 100 degrees, make sure he wasn't. So you're outside with the camera, running with the camera as the camera's going, and you're sweating, and doing, but you want to make sure they're cool and calm and clean. So he invites me in the car during a break, and I'm like, oh no, that's okay. I'm fine. Try to be very professional. He's like, get in the car. So I sit in the front seat, and he grabs me from behind, and he goes, whips off my wig, my hat, and he goes, I don't care what you look like, what you have under there. He said, you do your job, you mind your own business, you're the most professional person I've ever met. How would you like to work for the rest of your life? Swear to God, true story. And I did 33 projects with him. And which brings me to the story with Matthew.
That's terrific. For James Woods.
Yes.
No, for Deborah.
Yes, and for Deborah.
We had quite a career run together, and I have to say he pushed my limits as a makeup artist. And I would never say no. He'd say, oh, could you do this? Or, I want to take the razor blade to my head in the shower scene. And I'd say, okay, give me a minute. And, you'd go back and you'd come up. He'd had to wear hair pieces, but didn't want to have them in, his hair was buzzed up. Just create it. Okay, yes, sir. And you'd go back and you'd figure it out. And which is part of our art and part of our, so-called crazy genius, to make this, whatever they want. Yeah, whatever they want to happen. So Matthew and I goes to Mississippi. Luckily,
well, we should start back at the boys, because you were doing the boys, and you needed somebody to do a ball cap. You called me and says, ball cap, on this actor I'm working with. Who's the actor? James Woods.
Everybody,
That's
every
right.
makeup artist should train with James Woods.
Absolutely.
That's what I say.
Absolutely.
James, we're going to send you all of our graduates.
That's right.
Anyway, you call me in to do a ball cap, and there's a wig over it, and we did it. It was a television movie with John Lithgow.
Yeah.
And that was the first time you and I had worked together with Jimmy. The second time was Citizen Cone.
Citizen Cone.
Citizen Cone, which it won us an Emmy, and it went through different phases of the makeups, and it was
And we
great.
were still young in our careers.
Yeah.
I mean, we were very young in our
Absolutely.
careers, and it was one of those no money,
Right.
but wanted everything.
Yeah.
And
And we are James's prosthetic people,
Or your
as he
prosthetic
calls
people.
us. You
Let
know,
me ask
my
you this.
prosthetic people.
Being that he was very somewhat demanding and and very professional,
Very professional.
how was it like to put this gelatin appliance on him every day?
Well, you should start
I mean, this
back
is-
at the first.
How did he react to being put under all of
well,
this?
we were lucky. He had done Videodrome before us. And so he had many experiences with prosthetics.
I see.
But he swore he would never do it again.
Yes.
So he really trusted.
Before Ghost of
No, that was
Mississippi?
even before the
Even,
boys.
yeah, even before.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah, and early in
How'd you
his
get him
career.
to change his mind?
Well, he
The
had,
right people.
yeah, he had a lot of confidence in us, and he knew that I was going to take care of him. I wasn't going to put him in the chair for 2 hours
Right.
and make his art suffer, because it's
Yeah.
not about us.
Now, how long had you worked with him before Ghost of Mississippi?
I met
A while, huh?
yeah, 10, 12,
At least.
12 years maybe, 12 years.
Well, that explains
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
He had faith in you.
He had a lot of faith.
He knew that you wouldn't do him wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's good.
And with that faith came, all the tests. Oh, you can do that.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so now the Ghost of Mississippi story.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I happened to be on the lot working on another film, and Jimmy and I were taking a break, so to speak.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm walking down at Culver Studios, and I hear someone yell, "Hey, Purplehead! Purplehead!" And I'm like, what is that? And I'm walking, and I'm trying to ignore this noise I'm hearing, and I see Mr. Woods stick his head out of the trailer, and he's in a prosthetic, a silicone piece,
Yes.
new at that
Yes,
time,
yes.
up to here, holding the rest of it out here with a cigar in his mouth. And all I thought was the poor artist. The poor artist. And here I'm on my way to another job, and he's like, no, you have to come back, you have to come back. And I'm like,
Help
I'm going
me,
to
help
be.
me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm going to be late. And he's like, come here. And so he introduces me to the artist, and this was still in an experimental stage.
Yeah.
All right.
And it was, like I said, a silicone was still experimental, being, used.
And they had done it in one piece.
In one piece,
Right.
one huge piece. Now,
Oh, I know who did that.
now, an actor like James
One
Woods,
piece?
One piece. Yeah.
Okay.
An actor like James Woods, you're.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not going to name
You're
names.
wrong in your thought.
Yeah, I'm not going to name names.
No, it's
but
okay.
but the test
Nothing to
ended,
do.
ended up coming out wonderful. But for someone like James, who is a true artist to his craft,
Yes.
you cannot expect him to sit in a chair for 6 or 7 hours. And that's how long this makeup took.
Oh, my God.
During the course of a film day, they came and got me. Whoopi Goldberg was on the picture, her artist, Mike Germain, all ran down to get me. Jimmy wants you, and he wants you now. And I'm like, it's not my movie. You have to let the artist do his craft and have that respect. No, he needs you now. Whoopi comes driving down in a golf cart and drags me over there. And I'm like, what do you want, from me? How's it look? He goes, I can't do this. I can't do this. Now, they're ready to shoot, and I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks at that time.
I mean, they had already taken all that time to do all of these tests and
Right.
left in no time at all.
Right. So, make a long story short, he threw it in my court. The ball was in my court. How long will it take you to do this makeup, and what do we have to do to make it happen?
Right.
And I'm like,
And not
I would
be like
never,
this.
Yeah, and I would never step on another artist's toes.
No.
He's like, Deborah, I won't do this part unless we can come up with another solution. Now, I wasn't even on the movie, but because I had done so many films with him,
And they were taking a break from
and they were taking, a break. And so sure enough, I get the phone call that night. He pulled it off. You and Matthew pull out the old stock pieces. You have 24 hours. And I'm like, look,
No.
24 hours?
Yeah, and I pushed it to 2 days.
You pushed it to 2 days.
And sculpted the head and the face in
Yeah.
those 2 days and made
Amazing.
it, because we had just started out using gelatin. I thought, I can use this for an old age. I just need to have the chance to do it.
And so,
Step in, Deborah.
and so
You know.
we pulled all the old hair pieces we had from Citizen Cone,
Yeah.
and I sewed them and pieced them together because he was supposed to be 76, I think.
Yeah, 76.
Playing Medgar Evers from that famous trial.
Yes.
No, Byron D. Beckwith.
But
It was about Medgar
Right,
Evers.
right.
It was Byron D.
Byron,
Beckwith.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It sounds like you really pieced this together.
We did.
Construction.
Well, we did the
This
first
is where
one.
all that
Yeah.
construction makeup
No, no, no,
education
no. It
comes
was
in.
sculpted.
Oh, no,
I
no, no.
sculpted it really fast to do the test. This is my chance to make this work,
Right.
you know. And we got the test done in 2 hours.
Yeah, we put him in the
Yeah.
chair. It was like, go. You know, we got it done in 2 hours, and
He walks out of the trailer to Rob Reiner and said, "See, this is what it's supposed to look like."
we were.
Thank you, Jimmy.
We were very, very blessed. He was very
Yeah.
cooperative.
I don't know who did that
Also-
makeup, but I mean, dare I invite them on as a guest?
And also another point is that we walked onto the stage, and I had worked with John Seal, an amazing cinematographer on The
Yeah.
Doctor.
Who helped us.
I walked into the stage, I saw John, and all my fears left. That he was going to light it correctly because he's an amazing cinematographer.
Yes.
And when you work with a person like that and you know
Yeah.
their abilities, you know that it's all going to work.
Well, they looked out for us, and we looked out for them. It was, you know, a joint
Absolutely.
effort, including our actor, who was wonderful, even in 125-degree heat in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And it was quite a challenge, and we had our challenges.
Yeah.
And Matthew and I just split up the face, and luckily we had that rapport working together that we could just go, and I followed his lead, and we just kept
We did the
painting
whole
and doing
makeup,
it,
the
yeah.
hair, everything.
Everything, yeah.
Put
And
the
it
wig
was-
on, everything.
Obviously, the reward was to be nominated for an Oscar, our highest,
Yes.
which we never thought in a million
No.
years or had any expectations, and it was a wonderful surprise.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, it was a wonderful surprise. But, you know, once again, our actor pushed us
Yes.
to the
And
limit.
Yes.
he utilized the
Isn't it
makeup.
great? Isn't it
He
great to work with
utilized
an
the
actor like
makeup.
that? You know, that really.
I've been very,
Yeah.
very lucky with the actors that I've been able to work with, including, you know, our
And makeup
combined
artists.
efforts.
Right,
Yes,
right.
combined efforts, and it's been great. And you know, I never in a million years, and I don't know if you remember this, Joe, but I came in to your school as a fashion designer.
Yes,
I
I
was not
remember.
a makeup artist.
I remember. And you got a scholarship.
yes, I did. Thanks
I
to this
get-
man. And I do
But she
owe a
was
lot.
talented.
She was very talented, and I recognized that.
I was very blessed at the time
Yes.
to meet you and through my you know, significant other, so to speak. And you know, we were just two kids from Connecticut. You know, talk about Pittsburgh, you know,
Yeah.
same kind of thing. We came out to Hollywood to start our careers, and met you immediately the first week we were here.
Amazing.
We had $50 in our pocket.
My
You know,
God.
$50 in our pocket, and it was New Year's Eve, 1979, going into 1980, and you know, you were a blessing. We, you know, started a whole new life, and through my design work, I was able to pull through.
Yeah.
And when I
Thank you.
started,
Thank you
so
for that.
much. No,
Oh.
thank you. And when I started, you used to, you pushed me a lot. You said, Deborah, makeup, hair, and wardrobe, they work together. And you can do this.
Yes.
And, you know, I would kind of play and do my, you know, drawings with, it was mostly about the costume, that I was a trained fashion designer.
Yes.
And you gave me the freedom. You gave me the freedom, and look what it's brought me today.
You are today just as wonderful
Well, thank you.
as you were then.
Thank you.
And I recognized your sincerity and your really down-to-earth way of being, honesty, you know.
Well, thank you.
And I said, this girl's she she deserves to be
You
taught
opened a
and
whole
make
new
it.
world for me.
Thank you.
And it started this career. I mean, when I started, I did print work and then commercials. I would do conquistadors. I mean, nothing got in my way.
Yeah.
And I would just say yes. Of course I could.
Yeah.
And if I didn't know everything about it,
Yes.
I would learn it.
Yes, exactly right.
And that's what you do as an artist.
Yeah, you're wonderful, and you are. It's to me, it's actually an honor to be able to say that you are one of my graduates. And I thank you.
Well,
for that.
I'm glad I was there
Thank
and that I was able to do it.
We're going to have to break just for one second. Don't you go away. We're going to be right back right after this.
Bye.